Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new series here on Diecast Emporium. This will be episode 1 of Diecast Emporium Military Mondays, the M1 Abrams main battle tank. This is a brand new series that I'd like to do here on this channel, so let me know down in the comment section below throughout the duration of this video if this is something you guys enjoy, because I would really love to continue to do this almost every Monday for the foreseeable future here on this channel. So, the M1 Abrams main battle tank was introduced to the U.S. Arsenal in 1985. It is used both by the U.S. Army and the U.S. Marine Corps. It weighs 67.7 tons. Its speed is 41.5 miles per hour, which is extremely fast for a tracked vehicle. Its main gun is a 120mm cannon that fires a variety of different projectiles. Its secondary weapons system is a .50 caliber machine gun. Its armor is classified, but suffice to say, it has reactive armor that has a combination of ceramics, metal, and air pockets that is designed to reflect incoming rounds and defeat IEDs to the best of its ability. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail here in a bit. Also, one of the coolest aspects about the M1 Abrams tank is its gyro-stabilized barrel and turret. Basically, what that means is no matter what terrain the tank is going over, so let's say, real-world example, the tank is somewhere in the Middle East and it's going over some sand dunes and some rough spots, and the tank may be doing a little bit of this. While everybody might be getting a little, let's just say, seasick, for example, the turret remains stable so that it can engage targets while going over the rough terrain, and the main gun remains steady so not a single shot is wasted. Alright, backtracking just a little bit, want to give you guys a little bit of information on the reactive armor. So this has kind of evolved over the years, but the basic idea has remained the same. So I said it's a combination of ceramics, metal, and air pockets. So when a round comes into the side of the tank, it is deflected for the most part so that the penetration doesn't come through and obviously gain access to the crew compartment. Now, as we've seen with Afghanistan and Iraq with urban environments, the armor has been continuously upgraded, and there's even what they call, rather appropriately, an urban armor setup where they increase the armor, increase the undercarriage armor, and they will even put steel cages around the tank, which also aid in the inability for rounds like RPGs to penetrate the tank. Now, it gets kind of a little bit more tricky when you're talking about improvised explosive devices or IEDs, or mines, for example. Most mines, including most Russian anti-tank mines, do have trouble destroying the tank and getting through. However, there are modern weapons that we are continuously coming across and seeing, such as modern shouldered fire anti-tank weapons from Russia and China that are starting to do some pretty significant damage, specifically on the M1 versions of the tank that we are giving to the Saudi military, for example. So obviously, R&D and increasing and coming up with new ideas for armor is something that's ever-changing, and it's something that improves day by day. So kind of keeping with the thought of technology, basically, this tank, for many years, had this invincibility error about it, and unfortunately that's not necessarily true today. Really, this thing would go up against Russian T-72 and T-90 tanks in both Gulf Wars. It would destroy them. It wasn't even a contest, and that had a lot to do with not necessarily the armaments that the Russian tanks had, but the fact that the Abrams could engage them from so far out that the Russian tanks never had a chance. However, I'll give them credit, the Russians did not, and you're thinking we didn't fight the Russians in the Gulf War. Well, obviously, for those of you that may not be familiar, the Iraqi army had Russian weaponry, so that's where that comes in. Okay, so you may think, well, the Russians didn't, they just didn't sit on their toes for 20 years. You're right. They now have a formidable contender, and that is the T-14 Armata main battle tank. That could seriously offer a challenge for this tank. Not necessarily because of its main gun, which, by the way, technically is 5 millimeters larger at 125 millimeters than this, but it has an advanced radar protection system that is designed from the ground up to intercept an incoming tank round before it gets close to the tank and destroy it. We're not exactly sure how that works because we've never really had to face one, but if we ever fight a large conventional war again, such as a war like World War II, where you have mechanized infantry, mechanized armor, it would be very interesting to see how the modern-day Abrams shapes up against a formidable foe like the T-14. I hope that day never comes because the United States really hasn't had to fight a conventional-style war since Vietnam, since before Vietnam, so who knows? It's been quite a while. Vietnam obviously was very much a guerrilla war. Then you talk about Grenada, which really wasn't even a war. Obviously, Panama, which very much wasn't the same thing. Gulf War was in and out. Somalia was a nightmare. And then obviously Afghanistan and Iraq, Yemen, everything that's kind of encompasses the world war on terrorism today. Again, none of which can be classified by any means as a conventional style war. So to close out, the latest M1 is the M1A2 SEP V3, which features upgraded computers, armor, and a fire control system, and much, much more, of course. Now, one of the advantages of using that tank is that you can run all of the computers and all the different programs while the tank is shut off. That may seem like such an obvious choice. Why didn't they do that on the V1 version of the tank? Who knows? The original was created in 1985. Maybe they thought that all that stuff wasn't necessary in the mid-'80s, but it is what it is. So let's transition to review a couple of the models that I have of the M1 series tanks. This version is of the M1A1, so the first version. It's made by Bully, which, as we all know if you've watched this channel, is no longer in business, but many of their toolings have been recycled and are currently re-released under the Walthers Scenemaster brand, specifically a lot of the international trucks. So I would love to see their tanks re-released under the Walther Scenemaster brand, including this tooling, because one of the only ways you can get these older Bully military vehicles is on eBay, and again, the appreciation rate and some of the price gouging that goes on eBay really just irritates the hell out of me. But when these originally came out and they were on the pegs, they were $2.99, so that kind of gives you some indication as to what to expect to pay or what they initially were. Now, they did have some decent functionality with it. The tracks didn't roll, they were stationary, but they included some wheels underneath, so if you wanted to have that, you could. The turret itself did rotate 360 degrees, which obviously I'm not going to rotate it 360 degrees, but it does. The cannon itself can go up and down. And in terms of the actual casting detail, it really was pretty high. I mean, you can see it's got some different components. You can see the different crew compartments. You can see the tank commander hatch here. There's a lot of casting detail built into this plastic thing, which I really appreciated. And not only did they do them in tan, but they also did them in olive drab green as well. So the other version that I wanted to show you, this is made by Corgi. Now technically this is not 187 scale, but it is very close. Briefly, I'll put both of them up there to show you. The Bully one is advertised exactly as 187 scale. The Corgi is not offered or advertised with any scale anywhere on the box, but as you can see, it is very close to the same scale. Now, this one is an exact replica of a tank used by a U.S. Army unit in Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003. So you'll see that it is weathered. The tracks have that used look to them and are muddy or dirty and have sand on it. This one also has the wheels underneath just to aid it in rolling, which, again, I'm not particularly a huge proponent on. I'd rather just have no rolling wheels underneath, even if the tracks are static and don't move. I just think that looks more like a model. Same thing, this turret does move a little bit more freely in 360 degrees, and the biggest aspect that this one has going, other than it's an exact replica of a tank used, is this has the 50 caliber machine gun on it as well that you can see. So I really like this version over the other version, and I believe this is called the Corgi Forces of Valor series. I have the box right over here. Let me just check. Corgi Fighting Machines is what it's called. So if you wanted to look these up, they make a variety of different vehicles, I believe from World War II, Vietnam, and modern era, and that Corgi did back in the early to mid 2000s. So they're definitely worth picking up. So that will conclude episode 1 of Diecast Emporium Military Mondays, the M1 Abrams main battle tank. You guys let me know down in the comment section below if this is a series you'd like me to continue doing. I really enjoy doing this. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, for those of you that may know me on a more personal level or may know me in real life, you know that one of my degrees in college was military history, so this is something I'm very passionate about and that I love doing. I love sharing my knowledge with you guys, and if I can do it kind of and integrate it through Diecast or through the scale model world, I am absolutely all over that. As always, I'm Tommy with Diecast Emporium. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next review.